The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up.
So what was I talking about? Oh, how Trump has to be the victim here. And you know what's really sick? What's really sick and what's really scary and what's really in the balance, which is why, although this is tedious, I get it. This is not really a debate that's going on in the House. I would have loved to seen a real debate, a real format, two people at least on the floor, behind podiums, debating each other. That would have been much more, I think, interesting for the viewers. I really do. I think that if somebody makes a claim and then the person who's debating them can debunk that claim in real time, I think it goes a longer way. And the thing that we are trying to protect is no less than our republic, our system of government, our Constitution. And I know that sounds so heady, and I know that sounds so major, because it is. You have to understand, when people ask me, like, how did this happen? How did this happen in these other countries? Or how did it happen in Germany? You have to remember that Adolf was duly elected chancellor. He really was. He was, the people voted for him. Strong and wrong, it sold. Why? Because their economy had tanked. You had something called the Weimar Republic, where Deutschmarks were so worthless that to buy a loaf of bread, you had to have a wheelbarrow full of them. That's how worthless they became. So people were desperate. That is not the case in the United States, although the wealth income distribution in this country is so skewed towards those who can afford to pay lobbyists to do stuff on their behalf to get the money to them. I mean, there's no question the system is corrupt. No question at all. But the answer was not Trump. All right. So the answer, similarly, was not Adolf. But he was able to propagandize an entire population. He became a duly elected chancellor of Germany. And once he did, he found the Reichstag. He found it very inconvenient. It was slow. It's tedious. It's, exhausting to have to argue for stuff, right? To have to show that there's value in what you want to do for the people that you represent. And so he decided that he would go out and propagandize an entire country with crazy off-the-hook rallies. And he did it. And the people were like all supportive of his, his message of only I can fix it. Only I can do it. It's just too cumbersome to observe a constitution. And yes, they had a constitution. It's just too cumbersome to have to go and argue with these members of the Reichstag and the members of the Reichsrat, right? That's their House and Senate. So here's what I propose. I propose that you pass a law that says I get to do whatever I want. I rule by decree. And these freaks in the Reichstag and the Reichsrat, they actually voted away their own power. And the rest, as they say, is history. Horrible, anti-human, unthinkable murder, mayhem, destruction, gassing of people, starving of people, wholesale, ghettoizing of people, the whole thing. The whole thing, everything that happened. And it all happened because of the Enabling Act. It gave absolute power to the chancellor, is what it did. And that is what the Republicans in Congress are arguing for. Poor Donald Trump, he's a victim. He's a victim of the House majority. He's a victim of people who want to uphold the Constitution. He's a victim of the Constitution. My God, he thinks Article 2 lets him do whatever he wants. We should let him do whatever he wants because he alone can fix it. Donald Trump has always been portrayed by these people as the victim, always. Donald Trump was spied on. This is outrageous. We have an attorney general who actually goes along with this. I mean, this guy is a foxbot. Our attorney general is a foxbot. He propagates, all kinds of victimhood propaganda. Nothing that was borne out in the Horowitz report. nothing at all happened to the Trump campaign. Nothing. There was one FISA warrant that was issued on Carter Page. Carter Page had been the subject of a FISA warrant back in 2013 and 2014. Now, those FISA warrants have to be renewed every 90 days. So I think the 2014 must have expired. And then fast forward to 2016, here's this guy who's meeting with Russians like crazy. And, but after he leaves the Trump campaign, that's when another application was made to the FISA court to surveil him. There was no problem with that until the third renewal. And the third renewal was done very sloppily. But he had nothing to do with the Trump campaign by January of 2017 because there was no Trump campaign by January 2017 because Trump was already president by 2017. So that didn't happen. No one spied on the campaign. No one spied on Trump. There were no operatives inside the campaign. That just didn't happen. There was a counterintelligence investigation into Russian hacking, which did happen. Those documents were hacked. They were already released by July 31st, 2016, when the counterintelligence investigation was opened. They were already hacked and released, and then Australia came to the United States and said, wow, that's really weird that they did hack, and they are releasing because 7 weeks ago, this guy who said he was part of the Trump campaign, George Papadopoulos, sat down and drank too much wine and started telling us the Russians were going to hack and they had dirt on Hillary Clinton that they were going to disseminate in order to prop up Donald Trump. And as soon as the Australians, combined with the fact that Russia was hacking and did release, that's how the Russia investigation was opened. And they got indictments out the yin. Right? Mueller did not investigate Donald Trump until after Donald Trump fired James Comey, and then he investigated him for obstruction of justice.